As I've mentioned in past videos, rebuilding or building your credit is not something that's an overnight task, but with patience and these tips, your credit score will soon be something you want to brag about. Before getting into how to increase it, you want to know how it's broken down. Your credit score is broken down into 5 categories. The first one is payment history, which makes up about 35% of your score. The second is amounts owed, or as we usually identify it as, utilization. This counts for 30% of your score. Keep that 30% in mind because it's going to come in handy later. Number 3 is length of credit history. This accounts for 15% of your score. Number 4 is types of credits. This accounts for 10% of your score. And lastly, account inquiries or new credit, which again counts for 10%. So how can we use these categories to our advantage and increase our score? So for demographic purposes, I'm going to be talking about how to increase your score through a credit card, because at this age, that's the main way we can increase our score. So the first thing is obvious, but it needs to be stated. Keep your balance low. This goes into the concept of utilization. Utilization is the debt to credit ratio, which measures the outstanding balances on your accounts in relation to the total credit available to you, which helps lenders assess your capacity to take on new debt. So in order to maintain a good to great score and be more attractive to these lenders, you want to make sure your utilization is in between 20 to 30%. That's why I said keep in mind for that 30%. What you want to remember is that with utilization, don't go over 30%, and 30% counts for your score. For example, say you have a credit limit of $1,000. To not go over 30%, you want to treat it as if your balance is only $300. Now that may seem like a little, and of course you can go over at times, but make sure your monthly statement, by the time that comes out, only 30% has been used. Utilization is a major key. I say like DJ Khaled?
This is a major key alert.
Utilization is a major key when calculating your credit score, so make sure you stay on top of it. Remember that 30%. Now, the way to keep your utilization down is to pay your bills, obviously, right? But let's say you can't pay it. You can't pay it in full. You just spent too much money. Your paycheck from work is just not aligning. You gotta move your checkings to your savings and your savings to your checkings. It's just not gonna work out for you to pay it in full this time. What you can do is pay a monthly balance. Now, I know there are a lot of people who frown upon just paying the monthly payment, but the thing is with those is that they're only there to help you when you don't have it. So I wouldn't recommend doing it every single month, the same amount that the company asks you for, because the slower you pay it back, the longer the process will take to pay it back, and the more interest you'll have. So you want to pay it back in lump sums, but when you don't have the money, that's when these monthly payments come into play. Monthly payments are a monthly fee based off your credit card company after assessing your income to determine the minimum amount you can pay them each month to pay off your balance. Now, with the monthly payment, you have to make sure that this is the most important thing in your life when that due date comes. Every month, you need to make sure that you set aside money for this monthly payment or the amount of money that you want to give to this credit card company. Because one thing I will tell you is that they do not play games. Missed or late payments heavily affect your score, and payment history already counts for the largest amount, 35% of your score. So do not wait till the night before to say, oh, my monthly payment's due tomorrow. Absolutely not. Make sure the transaction is going through before or exactly on the date. Some companies I know have apps and you can actually schedule a payment way beforehand. So you can schedule it at the first of every month and make sure that it's being taken, whether you remember or not, on the 20th, the 21st, or whenever that monthly payment is due. I'm gonna say it again. Not only will it heavily affect your score, but there is a late fee. So that's extra money you have to pay for being late on the money that you have to pay from the money that you're already having to pay. So what? That's 3 times as much money that you should be paying. Absolutely not. I'm actually not good at math, so I don't really know if that's 3 times, but I just know it's more money than you have to pay. So just pay on time. Another thing you don't want to do is close your credit card when it has a high balance, or close your credit cards in general. I highly recommend just paying it down and then maybe taking off the usage just for a little while, or just doing reoccurring payments like $5 for Hulu, $6 for Netflix, nothing too big, and something you can pay off easily with those credit cards, just to maintain and build up your credit back on that card and let those lenders know that, hey, I'm trustworthy, I just messed up in the past, but it doesn't define me. Another reason why you should not close your credit card is because length of credit history accounts for 15% of your score. When you've had a card for a long time and you've been maintaining good credit on said card, you become more trustworthy and attractive to the lenders out there. So when it comes time for real credit to be loaned to you, these lenders will know that you are ready to go. And with this trust comes great benefits. You'll get approved for more lines of credit, different types of credit, and it'll come often with lower interest rates. Lastly, this is something that is so funny to me, and I've heard it so many times in my family and through my friends, and it's just like, what sense does that make? If you hear any myths that if you consistently check your credit score, it will ultimately lower your score, let me tell you something. That is not true. That doesn't even make any sense. They want you to be able to keep track of your score so you know exactly what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. So make sure you're on top of your score. And the only thing that really does affect your score when it comes to getting information about it is when your information is pulled. Checking your score is known as a soft inquiry. But if you're trying to open a new line of credit, as it does account for 10% of your score, it will lower it by less than maybe 5 or so points, but it won't be as much as a hard inquiry will. A hard inquiry includes going out to get a new credit card, so that new credit card company effectively has to pull your score. Each of the lenders have to review your credit in order to make sure that you are right for them. Try your best to avoid these hard inquiries. So obviously in this video, I didn't talk about every single tip possible or break it down fully, but what I want you guys to get is just the overall gist of how to maintain good credit, and I really hope I did so. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. If you have any questions, comments, even concerns or thoughts, please comment down below. But make sure you guys are maintaining great credit, you guys are staying focused, and remembering that broke is just a mentality.